Yeah, you can toss it.
We are well lubricated and we are blue. I noticed how much your eyes are popping, Karen.
Oh, because the sun's in them.
I think it's your blue shirt and my blue shirt and your blue eyes just all coming together.
When the sun's shining in them, they're very blue. Yes.
Yes.
So we were talking on Sunday at our meditation group about this law called the law of perpetual transmutation. And I was talking about how people that identify as empaths are often afraid to be around negative people because they absorb their energy. And so I said, did you know there is a law, and this is the law I'm talking about, the law of perpetual transmutation, that states that once you know this law, the higher frequency person, that energy will consume the lower frequency energies in a room. So what happens in real life is people either raise up to your level or they just can't stand it and they leave, which is so fun. And then once you know that, you don't have to hide or be a hermit or be afraid of people. You can just be the lighthouse that you are and radiate that love. And when you walk into a room knowing that, it's like owning your power.
Yes.
And then watch what happens. It's so much fun. People are just like, what's happening? And there's like a visual, almost a wave that happens. I know you've seen it because you're the center of it a lot.
Aw, thanks, Karen. You always make me feel so good.
Well, you're pretty amazing.
This topic got me so excited on Sunday, and I love that we can talk about it more today on camera because for the past couple days, I've been sitting with what I think is the highest decision point in every moment. I guess there's a million potential perspectives, as always, but I was seeing the highest decision point as being victim or creator. And anytime I'm looking at a circumstance like, oh, this person's affecting me, this thing happened to me, from like a victim standpoint, I'm already off the rails, like right from ground zero. So I love the law of perpetual transmutation. That's it.
That's it.
It resonates so deeply because it's right there, that decision point that I'm going to be a creator no matter what and sit in my seat of power. And it's irrelevant what vibe or energy someone else is giving out. I am locked into my creatorship.
Well, you are always a creator, no matter what.
Damn it,
what
perfect.
perspective you're
Yes.
choosing. You are welcome to create a state of victimhood. It's not the truth as I see it, but it could be your truth.
I love that so much. That is the ultimate truth. And that's, we might have mentioned this before on a past podcast, but that was the like most amazing experience I ever had at a Dr. Joe retreat, was the realization in a meditation, like seeing and realizing the whole world is love and everyone is love. And there's so much love that you can choose to be a victim or you can choose the perspective like that person hates me. And because they're pure love, they reflect whatever you decide back to them, even if it's something you don't prefer. And it becomes super comical. Like when people say you're your own worst enemy, like that's not a parable or like a poem. That's like a literal statement of fact of exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, and it goes back to like so many things I know we've discussed before, but whatever you're looking for evidence for, the universe, God, source will bring it to you. And your subconscious mind will bring it into your awareness. Because remember, it's always filtering millions of bits of information every second, and you are the one that tells it what to look for. So if you're like, look for ways I can be a victim, it's like, okay, here you go. And it serves you a buffet of whatever you choose. So if you're like, show me ways that the world is loving and kind and fun, like, guess what you're going to experience?
Yeah, it's truly like that truth of the moment. And as a lesser powerful, but even more interesting and experientiable example, Cynthia and I just got tattoos, as you know, and Cynthia got turtles. It's our first tattoos. We were super excited. Aunt Kathy was there too. Shout out to Aunt Kathy. I love that the three of us were there. It was such a great experience. But anyway, Cynthia got these turtles that she's been thinking about for a while. And literally since she got it yesterday, we must have encountered probably 50 different turtle things. People sending us pictures, your book bag today, just everywhere, seeing it in signs. And it's like such a simple example, but I'm really seeing, and it might be the best example because we're so fun and playful about it. Both of us were so excited to have these tattoos. I've had this idea in my mind for months now. I've been working on it, designing it in Illustrator. I saw it in a meditation. I've been trying to get it right, or I've been getting it right, picking up on you. We don't try anymore. And Cynthia doing the same thing with these turtles. And we've been so like excited about having them now and so light and playful on the topic, which is why I'm really seeing the power in light and playfulness and truly like not caring. We're just like, oh, these turtle things are great. And then it's like raining turtles. So if you could choose that same perspective with money or relationships or job or like whatever, I can really see how this is all working now.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yes.
And it's so true. I don't want to get too sciencey, but the reticular activating system.
Ooh, the RAT. Tell me
The
about that,
RAS.
Karen. Oh, RAS.
It's not the rat. Maybe that's your version.
I'm not the analogy guy or whatever, the abbreviation acronym
guy.
Sorry to interrupt, carry on, the RAS.
Yes, the part of your subconscious mind that's filtering all the information. People use this example all the time about you're shopping for a new car and you want a blue Tesla. And of course you go out and you see blue Teslas everywhere because you've told your mind this is important, look for it. So it's exactly like that. It's going to bring it into your awareness. It may have been there before, but it filtered it out because it wasn't important to you.
This is leading me into another very related idea that maybe you want to go down the rabbit hole of. It's.
You said go down.
Karen, fist bump. That's what it's all about. The idea is, just like we were realizing before, love is the ultimate truth, and there's so much love you can choose hate and get that as an experience. It seems to be that another ultimate truth is that there's only actually consciousness. We're not actually spirits that come down into a physical world, inhabit a body, and then leave and go back. That's the experience we have, but what's actually objectively happening is this is only a play of non-physical consciousness appearing very real, but it's not mechanistically what's happening. At least that's my understanding from Bashar and resonates deeply. So within that same vein, there always seems to be like a physical symbolic representation of what's occurring energetically. And that's one of the reasons I love Dr. Joe so much when he talks about the brain is all the key elements of like creation and focus in a non-physical consciousness standpoint have physical symbols rooted in the brain and parts of the brain and parts of the body. And that whole idea that when you experience an emotion especially, the brain produces chemical signals which actually flow down into the body, like physically symbolizing the power of the emotion. And it really, if anything, it validates how critically important emotions actually are because they become measurable within the symbol of the human body. And realizing, Abraham always says, emotions are your first manifestation before you have the physical manifestation. And it literally freaking is indisputable that the emotions are actually, the chemicals are actually being released, referencing that.
Yeah, it's really cool. When you were talking about Dr. Joe, I was thinking he does these levels of vibration. Like the slowest vibration is our body, right? It's our matter. Matter is vibrating so slowly that it appears solid. And when you get to that E equals MC squared level, which is that pure consciousness, that light, and we have this light body, what he teaches in his coherence healings is if you can influence that light body, it must manifest down into the 3D. And so when I do coherence healings, I don't focus on the physical being. I focus on the frequency of that person in wholeness, their light body. And then I just know that it's being translated into their physical body.
I love that so much. I love that example. That's the most powerful segment of all the Dr. Joe retreats I've been to is when he explains the like mechanics or physics of a coherence healing. And it becomes so like, I know nothing's objective, but it's presented as just objective science. There's nothing crazy about what's going on here. It's obvious energy or the field projects physical matter based on the vibration. So it's not like anything even that crazy is happening. You're just picking your frequency, and then the field is what's going to project the selected frequency into physical matter. And you can pick the emotions, always the indicator, right, of the frequency you're choosing. If this feels guilty and shameful and terrible and off, it's projecting into the field some version of reality that's not going to be to your preference and is probably related to illness and things you don't prefer happening. And then if you simply pick joy for no good reason, the field's going to project all sorts of circumstances and bodies and things which are going to reflect a state of joy. It's so like
It's so
simple.
cool. It's so funny. Like I was just thinking, before I even knew anything about energy, really, like intellectually, like I had no idea I didn't know. But I think inherently we're all healers. And if we're willing to play with it, we can create miracles. And like, I don't know, 20 something years ago, I was married and my ex-husband had bone cancer in his femur, in his leg. And they put like cadaver bone in there and the graft, it didn't grow together. Like the bottom part didn't grow to meet his femur. So there was a space there. The top part was fine. And they were talking about doing another surgery. And I'm like, I just did exactly what we do at a retreat. I rubbed my hands together. I put my hands over his bone and I saw it. And I'm not a visual person. I saw it growing. I saw the bone grow together and knit together. And when it was done, I just knew it was done. And guess what happened at his next x-ray?
It was perfectly
It
grown
was
over.
done.
That is so cool.
I know. And I didn't know what Reiki was. I still don't know what it is really. But I don't know. God through me. Like, isn't that bizarre?
It's so cool, but it's
I
like, it's so
know.
simple and so cool and such a great example. Dr. Joe's always saying that, and I'm hot on Dr. Joe now because I was just at that retreat, so he's so fresh in my mind. But that idea of the 3D reality tricking you, and how many times are you going to get tricked into thinking that matter is creating the field rather than the field creating matter? And that's such a great example. Truly, in any moment, we can and actually are creating our reality. We just get so mesmerized by what we've seen before. And the mind and memory is like the physical symbol of that idea of remembering past things you've seen before and simply expecting you can't see beyond what you've seen before. But it's really cool to see people breaking through consciousness. Like Dr. Joe's always talking about the 4-minute mile. As soon as one person ran a 4-minute mile, all of a sudden a ton of people did it.
Yeah.
These spontaneous healings, they seem to be occurring so frequently now. I don't know, like they're going to
least
become
in
the
our
norm.
circle.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
our circle at least.
Yeah.
So it's just going to become the norm that everyone accepts. Yeah, stage 4 cancer metastasized through your whole body. That could be healed in 1 second. Just shift your awareness. Like,
I know.
and then once that's the norm, I wonder like what's going to be the next thing where we're like, wait a minute, what?
Teleportation.
Teleportation.
Yes.
That's so fucking cool.
There are several people that can do it now.
Tell me more about it.
Well, I
Let's
don't know that
place
much,
more
but
focus
one
on
is
this.
apparently Mormon, and he can move his body in time and space, like to a different continent.
That sounds
It
awesome.
is documented. There are books about it. I just don't know what they are right now.
I love hearing this right now.
But yeah, it's totally, people are doing it.
Huh.
And my thing with all of this is, like, there was a movie called Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible, and that movie, like, just like, it blew my mind open to what is possible and how little we freaking know.
I'm going to have to watch this movie.
It's
Do you know what it's on?
good. It was on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Now you have to pay for it, or they made it into like a free miniseries. But like literally teaching people to see with their consciousness. So these thick blindfolds that have hard plastic on them, but they're such that you can open your eyes. They're the ones I have.
Yeah.
So they have foam, like a hole cut out foam around your eyes. So you can open your eyes. And these children were reading books with these blindfolds on. They're outside running around cones. This blind woman she was practically blind. She had like the big magnifying glass with a menu and massive glasses, and she could still barely see.
Yeah.
She could suddenly see without her eyes.
It's so cool. And at the same time, it makes such logical sense because this is all actually just a play of consciousness. The eyes are symbolic of seeing. It's the physical representation of the sense of sight. But at a higher level, it's all just a play of consciousness, so none of it's actually necessary. And I love hearing that, and it's opening my heart and soul to realize you don't need the physical symbol for the action and the sense to actually occur. And then I wonder how many other senses there actually are.
Oh,
Right?
Oh, I love that.
Wouldn't that be exhilarating? You have like a new sense? Ooh,
Yes.
I wonder what the hell it could even
so
be.
my thing is like, why not play with it and say, well, I wonder what will happen if. Like I told you about the Dr. Joe retreat I was at where the guy that was going to give us a ride, his car battery was dead.
Oh yeah, and you jump started it? I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
I'm like, well, I just did body electric. Let me start your car. I mean, I'm like, we're electrical systems. Why not?
Yes.
So, me and this other woman, we rub our hands together. We put it over the battery. I'm like, okay. Well, somebody came to give him a jump. But when I put the cables on the car and the valet touched the ends together, they went zzz. He said, this car has plenty of power. It doesn't need a jump.
It's got Karen power.
I started it. But just because I was playful and I was in that, surely in the infinite realm of all possibilities, there's a potential for us to start your car. So I love that sentence. Surely in the infinite realm of all possibilities, there is a potential for whatever I want to experience.
Yes.
So why not play?
Yes.
And I love the idea of playing with something that's inconsequential. Because who cares if it doesn't start? Like, you can get a jump.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. I'm not attached.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Especially with something that's already like broken, maybe.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't mess it up worse. When I was a firefighter, it's coming back. I remember in training, some guys were like freaking out, like, I'm gonna do it wrong or whatever. And this one instructor was so cool. He's like, listen, the situation's already fucked up. You ain't gonna make it any worse than it is. Anything you do is gonna improve it. And I love that almost creates that state of like playful relaxation. Like, all right, let's get this in perspective. It's true. Like, and that's a really cool idea. If something's already broken, be like, surely a potential must exist in the quantum and then you see the power play out, literally, in your case.
Yeah, no kidding.
Boom. The teleportation idea was triggering a video I just watched that Bashar did, or I saw on YouTube, where he was talking about an experiment we can do. And I may actually execute this experiment because I'm so fascinating. But he was basically describing...
Because you're so fascinating?
I am fascinating.
You are fascinating, if you don't say so yourself.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm so fascinating. Let me tell you how much.
Let me tell you all about it. Are you getting higher than me now? I like to be a
I'm
little
trying to be
higher. I like that we're both scooching
Get
up.
higher, baby. I had to bring some song in there. All right, go ahead. Tell us how fascinating you are. I'm listening.
That would be a great name for another podcast as a BT Dubs.
What?
I just
Get
lost.
higher?
Yeah, get higher. Thank you.
Get higher, baby.
You're always right there. I feel like I'm always backed up. I can forget my train of thought, and I know you've got me, Karen.
I got you.
But anywho, about me being fascinating. So Bashar was talking about this experiment where he said I have to re-listen to the specifics, but basically get two metal balls or a metal ball, and he was describing the metal it should be made out of.
Sorry.
There she is, Miss Karen, everyone. And then it's supposed to be thin, made of a certain metal, put it at a place on a table, and then get some sort of instrument that can measure the frequency that it's resonating at. And apparently he was saying this technology already exists, so naturally I'm gonna go to Amazon and see what I can find. But measure the frequency
of your balls?
that my balls are emitting
Yes.
when they're at one specific point on a table. And then he was saying to move the same ball to a different position, measure the frequency there. And then he was saying when the ball is placed at one position, go to the other side and resonate the original frequency that you measured the ball at in that location. And
Like you resonate it, or?
that the ball was resonating at.
Okay,
Like I guess every physical piece of matter is emanating some frequency
Right.
that we can measure with some sort type of scientific instrument.
Right.
So he's saying if you measure it at a specific location, you'll get one frequency, and if you measure that same piece of matter at another location, you'll get a slightly different frequency because its frequency is actually location dependent. Like location is simply a frequency variable, not actually like a space variable. It appears to be a space variable. But he was saying if you put it back in the original position and then use some other type of scientific tool, which I'm gonna find out about on Amazon, to emit the frequency that the sphere was at when it was at the previous location, it will actually move back to the first location. And he was saying,
it will physically move.
It will physically move.
Wow.
He was saying in time, as our technology and specificity tolerances like increase in scientific instruments, we would actually get to the point where we would see it disappear and reappear in like a flash of a second. It wouldn't actually transverse all the points in between. But he was saying if you do the experiment right now, you'll actually watch the ball move, like roll down the table and transverse all the points in between and arrive back at that location.
That's so cool.
Kind of just proving location is frequency based.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have a device. I totally forgot about it. It's a frequency device. And it has these little clamps that go on your ears and you wet them. and you put them on your ears, and then you pick which frequency you want. And so if you're having insomnia, you like set it for peace. There's frequencies for depression, anxiety. There's like a marijuana frequency. I'm like, I've never tried that. I should try it. See if I get high.
I love that. I'd be curious
Let's
to try
play with it next time.
Yeah, well, you definitely should bring it.
I
Should
totally
we
forgot.
record and play with it?
It's been in my drawer.
It's making me think of Joe's line, which he says 100 times, it's just frequency. And he's
Right.
always saying that, it's just frequency.
Yeah, you can do like alpha brainwave or theta. There's different
Yes.
settings you can do.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Right.
I'm excited to study cymatics more and all this like vibration and measuring of vibration, because it seems like a no-brainer. Like, it's simple
Right.
science. It's all literally just vibration.
Right.
And maybe doing these types of experiments would like validate for myself, yeah, it's that simple, dude. You're emanating a frequency too, and the emotion is the only piece you need to know what you're emanating.
Have you ever gotten one of the heart math devices?
Yes, I have the ear thing. Do you have the ear
Okay.
thing?
I don't have any. I've never even seen them. But can you tell now when you're in coherence?
So
Heart-brain coherence?
interesting you mentioned that, and quite timely, because on the last Abraham cruise I was on 2 or 3 weeks ago, some girl I met had it. And then HeartMath now has an app you can download where you don't even need the ear thing. You can place your finger over the camera on your iPhone, and it will actually take your heart rate variability through the camera. They were saying the results are kind of mixed, but it was working pretty well. But I was contemplating, I haven't used my monitor or tried the finger on the camera monitor in probably a year now. And I was curious to go back and put it on. And then I heard Bashar come to my mind and kind of be like, do you need physical
Right.
reality to validate? I guess it's all how you play the game. If you know it's going to validate you, it can like reinforce your belief system. I could see a lot of ways to play it.
Yeah.
So that's a very circuitous way of
Interesting.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but maybe I should
Right.
play with it again.
There is no should.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Sneaky like try. We
Oh.
see you in there, Should.
Yeah.
Shout out to Should. Should in the house.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's really interesting. You talk about frequency. When we do coherence healings on Zoom, we find the healee's frequency in the field by looking at their picture and seeing their name. We find their frequency, and we get so practiced at doing this. You know, it's so easy, like just to tune into a person's individual frequency and know that the energy will reach them wherever they are in the world, because we don't know. They could be anywhere, and they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're from all over. It's amazing.
Yeah, the whole idea of that, enough is like proof. You're literally like healing someone, and there's proof. There's scientific proof now in the
Yeah.
studies Dr. Joe's doing that literally healing someone remotely, not even close,
I know.
is as or more significantly more effective than pharmaceuticals and all these things.
Yeah.
And you just have your target in your picture.
You got to see that movie now. It's the Superhuman movie, because
Yes.
she did like unwinding DNA and rewinding it and things like that,
Yeah.
like with her mind and with her intention.
Yeah.
And there's so many really cool things. And they were talking about even the CIA, started in the 70s, started using remote spies. So they were psychic, essentially. Like they would move their consciousness to the place of where the enemies that they were viewing were.
Yeah.
And they were 70% accurate. I'm like, without ever having been there. Right? That's crazy, right?
That is so cool. The linchpin piece I'm seeing right now, and I'm curious to hear your perspective on it, is, and perhaps meditation is the key to this, reaching a neutral enough emotional state where you're open to contemplating and feel relaxed and feel like you have time and feel like you have energy and excitement and interest to explore all these possibilities. I like see in myself, if I get wrapped up during the day in the emotions of this thing happened and that person, like victim mindset, I wouldn't be neutral enough to actually get excited to contemplate. But in this moment, I guess talking to you, I feel relaxed, excited, like all the elements are present, where I feel like my heart is wide open to hearing about this and contemplating it and researching it and all of it. But that neutral point, do you see that neutral point as like beyond critical to achieving or choosing really in order to like open up?
Oh, 100%. And yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I need to say anything more about that, because the moment you have attachment to something, you are creating you're either creating what you don't want if you're resisting something, or creating what you do want if you're open to it. But that neutral place of being unattached, and a lot of times too, being unattached to a timeline. Because some people, I think it's great to say, yes, I want to be a billionaire, right? But when you say, I want to be a billionaire by the end of 5 years, you're limiting the universe, because maybe the universe had a different plan for you, that it was going to happen in 6 months.
Right.
But if you don't hit it by that timeline, you put all this pressure on yourself and the universe, which also maintains the illusion that you're separate from it.
Yes.
But anything you make important, also, the subconscious mind attaches fear. And it says, okay, this is important to my survival. So anything that we make important, it's like, oh, it's survival. And then we don't have all of our resources available.
Yeah.
Because when we're in survival, we get dumber. Like all the blood leaves our prefrontal cortex, goes to our limbs and our jaw.
Yeah, almost as a symbol of, or a physical representation of that energy going out of the field and into physical matter. It's like deep in your body.
And slowing down into those low vibrating frequencies.
Yeah. I love that you brought up that term attachment. There's so much in there. When I first started journeying into like what reality was, attachment kept coming up as a key piece in Eastern philosophies, not having attachment. And you really articulated that so well. When you become attached to an outcome, you're like immediately and inherently binding yourself. It's paradoxical. And as Bashar says, there's power in paradox. Yeah, insisting on an outcome in a certain way. Or I was talking about this with Cynthia the other day too. It's easy to see how you can become attached in like romantic relationships. You have like a blissful experience and you're like, I want to ensure I get more of that. And you like attach to that outcome. And I was actually sitting with that whole idea in terms of like marriage and partnerships. I don't know that I reached a conclusion, but seeing that there's clearly an attachment thread in there and a fear of losing the partner because the partner is perceived as a symbolic source of some type of happiness that you're like, give me more, give me more. And then the dependency, and then you could see how you go off the rails really easy. If you're dependent and attached to that and it starts to wobble, you're gonna wobble right along with it. So yeah, I don't know if I have a conclusion yet.
No, it's awesome. And I don't know if you've seen the Course in Miracles on that. It's like they call it a special relationship.
Ooh, tell me.
Well, a special relationship is you're making somebody else special or more important than somebody else, right? Which you would think, well, of course I'm doing that. It's my partner. But there's also that attachment, and there's like a neediness. Like you want them to fulfill this lack that you feel within.
Yes.
So in A Course in Miracles, they talk about a holy relationship, which means you both come to the relationship 100% whole. And you just add to one another. You add to each other instead of taking. It's not give and take. It's give, give, give.
Yes.
Receive, receive, receive. But it's beautiful because I don't know if you are in a relationship where there aren't really the same expectations, and there's so much freedom. And you're there because you want to be. You choose it.
Yes.
You choose it every day.
Yes.
And it's not out of obligation. It's not a have to. And anything that's a choose to, the energy behind it is so beautiful and delicious, rather than I'm here because I have to be. This sucks. You know, like it's
Yes.
it's a completely different frequency. And then the two of you in it together in such alignment is so beautiful, and it elevates the two of you, but it elevates everybody who comes in contact with you. And you see it, the people that are drawn to you is because you're emanating this frequency of love and acceptance of yourself, your partner, and then of everybody. Like there's no judgment coming from you. I mean, I think you know that, but it's just like love and acceptance, and it's inviting.
That's so sweet. I feel the same about you.
Aw.
Thank you. Oh, my heart was feeling so wide open. It was also resonating so deeply with that term you used, whole, two whole people coming together. I was listening to an Alan Watts YouTube video not that long ago, and he was talking about the origin of the term holy in religion actually stemming from the idea of being a whole person. And he's like, it's not Holy, it's Whole.
Yeah.
Someone like came up with a different spelling and a different definition somewhere along the line. I mean, all truths are true, sure, there's another definition. But it was really resonating, the idea, that's what a holy person is. They're fucking whole.
Right.
They're whole in and of themselves. They're
Yes.
reliant and in love and at peace with themselves. And when you're in that state, how could anything be wrong in your world?
And how lovely is it to be with someone who doesn't need anything from you, and then you can just show up as your most authentic self, and you don't have to be anything else. You just get to be you.
Yeah. It's truly a relationship then of joy.
Yeah.
You're arriving as your best self, which would presumably be a state of joy. It would be for myself. I guess everyone can decide from themselves.
Well, for me too, yeah.
Yeah.
Joy, very playful, of course.
Yes. Joy is the key, as Abraham's song goes.
I don't know it, but
They play it at the start
sing
to
it
all
for
our
us.
workshops.
Come on.
Joy is the key. Apparently that's the only phrase I know. There's a lot more to it. Oh, it goes, I can do it. I can do it.
Sounds like a child's song.
I
love that.
She has this beautiful singer who sings it. I'm pretty sure it's not Esther. I don't know where the singer came from or how she found her, but it's a pretty delightful song. I encourage everyone to YouTube it. I know it's on YouTube. If you YouTube Joy is the Key Abraham Hicks, you'll hear the song. And if you listen to it 5 times, you'll be humming it for a day straight. But you might not get all the words like me.
But you get the frequency.
You
Back
get the
to frequency.
So many of the channels I listen to say that at some point in their message. They go, we're offering you words and ideas which are going to be important to you, but this is truly a vibrational message we're delivering to you. So simply by like being in an open state, you're receiving it. And that's one of the things that inspires me not to take notes a lot of the time, because I realize notes are maybe symbolic of the thinking mind being like, there's something I really have to understand. And if you're so lost in the notes like school, you're missing perhaps the more important vibrational message that's being offered.
Yeah. Interesting, because I just finished a course and it's pretty technical, and the instructor's like, I don't want you to take notes, and I'm like, what?
That's so cool.
I know. I'm like, oh, that's hard, because that's how I learn. That's one of the primary ways I learn, is like taking notes, and then like that's what gets it into my head. At least that's my story.
Yeah.
Up until now.
Ooh, look at you. Isn't it so cool to realize everything can just be a story?
Yep.
And you realize, shit, like what am I saying right now? Do I want that to be my story?
Why don't I choose a different truth?
Yeah. That is such a cool instructor though. I'm inspired. If I was ever an instructor, I would be so in love with myself if day one I was like, no fucking homework, no fucking notes. We're here all in the moment we're here. Everyone gets an A. Oh, it's like expansive bliss.
Well, this was all experiential. I mean, we're watching him do these processes on people, and then we're practicing, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's practice.
Do you find when I'm in a true state of excitement and interest in what's going on, like I want with all my heart to know deeply and remember the content, it becomes less like a pressure thing and more like a, wow, this is truly captivating my awareness to focus on it. And like, it's something when I get home, I'd be YouTubing videos on the topic and reading and researching about anyway. So is that like an indicator?
Yes, it's amazing. And as you're speaking, I'm like, oh, darn it. When I was in yoga class on Sunday, my hot yoga instructor that I had is the first person that brought hot yoga to Phoenix.
Ooh.
She brought it here. Like, she studied right under, the dude.
Yeah, shout out.
Bikram. And she always drops these one-liners that are so profound. And I'm like, I'm going to remember this one. And damn it, I don't remember it. I'm like, that one I want to remember. Like, sometimes I'll make like pretty quotes and put them on Facebook, and it'll be Sintra Brown, who's, this yoga instructor.
Shout out.
Sintra.
Well, damn it, there's an equally valid, equally amazing perspective of when to take notes. And now all of a sudden I'm hearing Dr. Joe say, when you're coming back from meditations usually to the 3D reality, he's always like, remember. And he was explaining at the last retreat, yeah, I'm saying that so you'll take the memory back with you, like give yourself some time to solidify it. So shit. Every time I think I know something, I realize I don't know shit. Like there's another perspective that resonates equally well and blissfully with my heart. So thank you for keeping it real.
It doesn't matter. Like it's all perfect, no matter what. Like if I was meant to remember it, I would remember it. And sometime in the future, I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh yeah. It'll probably be when she says it again.
Yes. Have you heard Bashar's perspective? Someone asked him about memory, and he was saying him and his culture have no memory. They simply know, they'll know exactly what they need to know, exactly when they need to know it, not a moment before, not a moment after. And what, like, it seems like scary from a human perspective. And I guess fear in the emotional guidance system is always indicating it's a belief that's out of alignment. So that would mean the truth would potentially be no memory really needed, just complete like faith or trust or maybe knowingness as the highest level of faith. I know I'll need to know whenever I need to know it, like a moment before.
I love that. It's like an animal. Like an animal doesn't have memory per se. I mean, they have procedural memory, which is another story. I was going to go somewhere with that, and I don't remember.
Maybe it'll come back.
Oh,
yes.
A Course in Miracles. Yes. They have talk about a concept called empty-headedness. And it's exactly that. It's that neutral, still point, and you're being informed not by your past, not by the predicted or predictable future, but by spirit in the moment. Like in the moment, when your head is empty and clear, you will receive the information that you need. It's exactly that.
Yeah, what a freeing experience.
Yeah.
I kind of had a heart-to-heart with my mind maybe the other day. Like me and my mind, if that makes sense, were realizing the limitations of thought itself. And we were kind of like, we realized to the thinking mind, a lot of these concepts don't make sense, but to the emotional heart, I know they're real and I know they're truth. So my mind and I kind of agreed we can't really know or predict the future or really even understand a lot of these concepts. We can just know them to be truth and trust the heart giving us emotions and following those blissful emotions. And if anything, this is going to be the fucking most epic experimental lifetime I've ever led, if I've lived lives before within the linear idea. I'm just so in love with experimenting with consciousness and seeing what comes from it, rather than doing the endless 12-hour days, 6 days a week I was doing at one point of work. And it's just so exhilarating. Even if I crash and burn, I'm gonna love that I experimented and followed my heart. Like, what an experiment, just to follow your heart in a lifetime and see where it leads.
That's beautiful. I just started listening to Michael Singer, The Surrender Experiment.
Yes.
Have you heard it?
I read the book, one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yes.
So it's just really interesting, especially knowing he came from like a technical economics background, which, hello. Yes, I was an econ major.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's funny. It's really odd, right? If you know me now.
Yeah.
It's pretty odd.
You must be on the right path, your path.
Yes. But I love, like, all the serendipities that just happen when you keep saying yes to what life presents to you, even if you don't want to.
Yes.
Which is, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I still have my controllers very much alive. Yeah. So I'm working on it by saying, yes, you're right. That's one thing. I've got that
yes,
part,
from that episode?
Yes, I'm still working on it. Yes. You're right. Well, especially with my kids, I'm like, oh, that one's hard.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
But I did do some surrender just today with my kid, one of my children. So like some really big stuff, like if she wants to make choices that are going to impact her health, then she gets to do that. She's 16, right?
Yeah.
And just like practicing that detachment and letting go. And not letting my blood pressure go up, because I cannot control it. I'm not going to babysit her.
Yeah.
She's 16.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's probably one of the maybe biggest benefits, again, all matter of perspective, but biggest benefits of being a parent, which I'm not, is it seems like kids are very good at evoking belief systems within you. I mean, I can see Cynthia's phenomenal at evoking belief systems within me. And it's so cool to have the perspective like you're having right now and realizing, wait a minute, this is a point of power for me to choose differently because of my emotions are indicating something's off within me. But do you find your kids are like really good at evoking things out of you?
Yeah, they have been all along, and
Great answer.
It's definitely a practice. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but when I catch it, I'm like, wow, I'm really proud. And I had an issue. My ex-husband has a joy of drinking.
Reframed in the moment.
There it is, reframed. And when I found out my 17-year-old had like bottles of alcohol in her closet, I was really freaked out. And then, I did talk to some friends and, do the 3D stuff and get support around it. And I'm like, no matter what, I have done exactly my job up until this point. I've loved her. I've taught her how to make good decisions. And that's all I can do as a parent. And then from here, it's on her. She gets to make her choices. I did, tell her if I find alcohol in the house again, she gets to move out, because I also found out, some other things. But
it's beautiful you're going easy on yourself.
Yeah,
That was, I heard that so clearly in you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
What could
yeah.
be more beautiful? That is, I don't know, were we talking about this in the last episode? My new definition of self-love is choosing the best feeling emotion within myself in the moment, given the circumstance and context, going easy on myself and choosing the best feeling emotion and saying, I did the best I could. Everyone's doing the best they could.
Yes.
And let whatever reality is, sources, the mirror, the universe,
Right.
whatever you call it, that's its job to figure all this stuff out. My job is to maintain the best feeling state of being that I can and surrendering.
Yeah, but
So-
for me, like, what a perfect opportunity to practice everything I preach, which is trusting that every individual can't do it wrong. Everybody's making the best choices for their soul's evolution, and she really can't do it wrong. So my worry was like, oh my gosh, she's going to become an addict. She's got the gene. And, I went down this fear. Whew, but who says she's not supposed to? That's not up to me. Like, I don't know the divine plan. You know what I mean?
I can drink what you're saying with a cup. It's that delicious. Yes.
Yeah. So I really got to practice. Like, okay, Karen, it's easy for you to spout all this stuff off, but let's see you live it. And the moment I accepted that reality, like, okay, she gets to make her own choices no matter what, and whatever she chooses is perfect for her. I know it is. Complete detachment, like freedom returned, and I was like, my peace and calm was restored.
That's beautiful. There's so many ways to describe these same concepts. I'm seeing everything coming full circle, and then I'm realizing it's all really the same. Attachments in there,
Yeah.
doing the work. You use the term worry, and I came across the most amazing quote today, which I'm going to bring up from Abraham. Are we ready for it, about worry?
Oh.
You cannot worry about someone and love them at the same time. Most people mistake the emotion of worry for the emotion of love. They think that worrying about someone means that you love them. And I'm assuming it's attributed to Abraham Hicks. So I'm assuming that is
Wow.
the source of the quote. And yeah, wow.
That's great. You know what? I
wow.
heard a great quote about worry. It's having faith in an outcome that you don't want.
Yes.
I'm like, oh man.
Yes. Yes. I heard it might have been very similar from Bashar.
Yeah.
That same idea where he's saying none of you lack faith. All of you have 100% faith in every minute. The question is, what do I have faith in?
Oh my gosh.
And
no
the
kidding.
idea that worry or the non-preferred emotions are the indicator I'm putting all my faith in
Yes.
a non-preferred outcome. So cool.
Totally. Oh my gosh, this is juicy.
Juicy. I'm flying high.
Me too.
I feel like you're feeling good and I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling great. How about you guys? You feeling good? Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This was amazing.
This seems like a good tune-out one.
We'll see you next time.
Love you guys.
On Right Fucking
Now.
Yes.
Boom.